Welcome to the show. Last week, the Maryland General Assembly passed legislation that would set guidelines for implementing a federal law requiring states to make schools more accountable for student performance. And according to Governor Hogan, the bill would prohibit the State Board of Education from taking substantial action to make improvements to failing schools. Tom, do you think we should hold schools accountable for their performance?
Of course, we should hold them accountable for their performance. I agree with that. I think this particular law is more of, which improvements do we want to do? That's essentially what this bill is about. It's about, do you want to privatize parts of education or not?
Okay.
It's the Betsy DeVos, issues here about, charter schools, private schools. And what the legislature did here is to say, well, we don't like some of your solutions and we're going to make sure you're not going to use them. So, I mean,
we don't like some of the Betsy DeVos solutions.
Exactly.
But this was actually passed prior
and
signed by Obama prior to.
Yeah, this is
because it was federal legislation coming down.
But it's a very broad act. Mm-hmm. And, I guess from what I was reading, it's very unlikely that the Trump administration or anybody, because of the broad nature of the law, is going to interfere in this case. It's a much broader thing. So it's a fight over, school issues, who should be in charge, who should have the say, the whole 9 yards is really what it's about here.
Kim, what's your thoughts?
So I want to back up for a second here. We're saying hold schools accountable for their performance. Performance defined by what?
Yes.
Well, that's
standardized testing?
Well, that's one of the things.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
The Republicans are looking for a higher mandate on standardized test scores versus the Democrats were looking for a little bit more lax in taking other things into accountability.
Let's just throw the standardized testing out the window. All right, I'm going to say it right now. All right, if you measure, two students by the same test scores, and it's a test that the one student exceeds at that subject and the other student doesn't, the other student can feel like an idiot. All right, but that other student probably has strengths and skills that the first student doesn't. All right, we have got to stop measuring everybody with the same standard in this country.
The problem is there is no. So if you don't measure them with a common standard, how do you measure them? I mean, it's
how do they do after school?
Well, but
how do they do once they go out into the real world? How do they do in college? How do they do in the workplace? What have we actually taught them as far as skills to help them survive in the workplace, to help them survive in school, help them survive after school?
I don't think we should totally throw away standardized testing. I think there's a place for them, but I also completely understand and agree with the fact that some people test very well and others test very poorly. I think that from a practical perspective, regardless of everybody standing up and saying standardized tests stink, I've not heard anyone come up with any solutions or suggestions that are any better.
But what we're doing today is the same thing that we did 100 years ago in education. We're throwing everyone into a classroom. We're giving them a book, a chalkboard, or a whiteboard, or whatever we want to call it today, and
an iPad. And
there you go. Thank you, Dr. Wilcox. But
Sincerely.
We're still teaching the same way,
and that's the problem.
And we haven't evolved education system within the United States. And I think part of the development of the education system has been hindered by federal government mandates versus dealing with the local community. Because I trust the teachers in Washington County to address the needs of the students in Washington County far better than I trust a bureaucrat in D.C.
Let me say something.
I agree with that.
I want to say real quick, Barbara Ingram School for Arts, all right, the Public Service Academy. These are wonderful programs. Do you know why? Because they focus on what area that student excels at. All right, we need more specialized education in this country,
and that's what this in Washington County, that's what this potential downtown education hub might be all about. I agree. Listen to the teachers, but I also think you need a mix of other skills in there because let's face it, academia in large part deals in theoreticals. Okay?
Well, yes, but the real teachers who have been there, I have some very good friends who are teachers. Some been all their life. Even I have a teacher that was my son's special ed teacher when he was 3 years old. She still sends him cards and everything. He's now 26.
I understand.
And some of these people are dedicated, and they should be listened to now.
I
She has
think,
more
well,
experience
I think
than
more.
anybody.
I think most of them are probably dedicated. I think it follows. In business, you have 97% of the people that do 97% of their job, 97% of the time, and you have the 3% that either that go above and beyond.
Yeah, well, but teaching's an art, really. It's not exactly a science. And then I like, what Ken is saying here, I find very important is that, there's somebody who's artistically brilliant.
Right.
But they
fail
have
every
difficulty
math
filling a
test
bubble.
maybe down the, whatever it is. You need a well-rounded education. However, it does have to be targeted a bit. And that's where really a good teacher comes in.
Well,
And you have to
absolutely.
have
And
minimal
those-
standards, but
And
I think
it's that interpersonal relationship that the teachers gain with the children,
Yes.
with the students, that I think makes the difference. Because if I look at the most successful classes I took both in college and in high
Yes.
school and in middle school, and I don't remember elementary school at this point, what I remember is my relationship with the teacher and the fact that I came in there into his or her class wanting to learn that material.
Well, yeah,
but that
yes,
has nothing to do with standardized testing and how do we prove accountability in our school system. And I still go back to the fact that regardless of us all standing up and screaming that standardized testing is not the way, I've not heard a better
Well,
much of it is what people
I think one of the things that we need to talk about
none.
regarding what this bill does, it kind of removes the opportunity for citizens in the state of Maryland to pursue charter schools or a voucher program if a school is failing. Like in inner city Baltimore, the voucher program started to provide some opportunities, and charter schools started to provide opportunities for kids to learn. And I know that penalizes the school system, but when you look at the money that we spend on a student basis in Washington County, and we're only ranked 18th in the state, we're spending $13,500 per student in the classroom, okay? That's a lot of money to be spending on students. The national average is, around 11,000. But when we get to it, can charter schools deliver a product that educates the students?
Not necessarily.
There would have to be some criteria for that.
There's a lot of studies, and
but
so
we also,
far,
but we're also giving students who, or people who are in our school system who are not legal in this country, free education. So if we pulled them out of the system,
Oh, see, this is
I'm a card carrying.
Why would you do that?
I'm a
to the
card carrying
kid?
Republican, and I got to tell you that anybody that would come to me and tell me that anyone that's in this country at that age, because if they're going to a public school, not post-secondary, they're not going there because of their choice. They're going there because
their parents came.
That's right.
Yes.
And that is not their fault. And we, in my opinion, as a card carrying Republican, cannot take that opportunity away from them.
unless we address that. But we're going to close out on that point. We could have gone for a couple, five more minutes probably on debates.
Easily.
Up next, our panel takes on a closer look at an open internet. We're back in 3 minutes.